Recording go. Okay, you're live? Go.
Okay, thank you. Hello and welcome to Going Online for the First Time. My name is Linda Morrow and I'm Associate Professor and Library Department Chair at Palomar College. So, I just wanted to welcome everybody and make sure everyone's comfortable. Okay, have any of you already taught online? No. How many maybe had technology-enhanced teaching? Blackboard, used Blackboard before? Moodle?
I've used Blackboard.
Okay.
I would tell you that even as a student, I'm afraid I'm taking an online course. So.
Oh, okay, good. So that was my next question. If you haven't taught before online, have you had an online instruction before? Have you been in an online class? Anyone? Yes, you have. One person has. Okay. And have you had any good experiences from that? Your online class?
I would say that the online classes that I've taken, most of them through the military.
Oh, okay.
Glorified correspondence course.
Glorified correspondence course. Okay. So, all right. So as I'm going through my slides, then, if you have any comments or suggestions, just let me know, because at least you've had some experience. And maybe some of you have heard about online teaching and have some things that you've heard about. I've taken many online courses, and I have many horror stories to tell. I won't share them all with you today. But I have learned a lot from taking online courses. So we'll do a little bit of talking about that. So do you have, those of you who are here, do you plan to teach online this coming semester? Okay. Okay, so you're just kind of getting ready for it. This is a good thing. You need to get ready. Okay. So you have time then. That's a good thing. So first of all, you're going to get started, and you probably already have your student learning outcomes from whatever course you're going to teach, and maybe a syllabus. And this is where you can get started with the things that you already have. So when you teach online, you don't really need to change your student learning outcomes, and your syllabus, you don't really need to change that much either, but you will need to expand and expound upon it, because when you're not face-to-face, there might be many questions, concerns, issues that students have, because all they're going to have is text and whatever you give them. They won't have your voice necessarily to guide them. They won't have your facial expressions. They won't have what we have today. So it can be intimidating. So one thing that you can do is 2 weeks before your class begins, you can check your class roster and then send a welcome letter. And in the welcome letter, you just have the general description of your class, your student learning outcomes, the reminder of the date, because as you know, students may take fast track courses or other courses, a combination. So you need to remind them of those dates, and the contact information. That's your contact information. So you're just basically welcoming anyone who has already registered for your course. And then, oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong welcome letter. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then 1 week before the class begins, you're going to need to send out more information. Just repeat that first information that you've given them, but then add your detailed syllabus. And once again, have your contact information. It's really important. You can never give them that contact information often enough, because undoubtedly they'll say, well, I didn't know how to get in touch with you, and I didn't know how to find you. So just keep repeating that. It's not a problem. There are examples online. This is one example from the University of Wisconsin, and so you can find these online, and they basically tell you the same thing. Remind students that this is a web-based course, how to contact the instructor, the technology that they will need to work online. And what I tell my students, in addition to what's available on campus, because I do tell them what's available on campus, is that they can also use their local library, because sometimes things go down, as we have had experience here. So, use their local library. They have computers that are available for them as well. Tell them about the textbook that you want them to use and give them all the information about the textbook, including the ISBN. And the course content, you might want to tell them if you're going to be using PowerPoint lectures, if you want them to do readings, if you expect them to view videos, if you're going to have quizzes, essays, projects. Give them as much information as you can so that they can be prepared and decide whether or not they want to stay. Because, of course, if they're going to drop, you want them to drop now. That's what I tell my students on the first day of class. If you're going to drop now. Do it now. And the grading. They're always curious. They need to know about the grades. Okay, another one that I wanted to show you is this one here. This is an example again. It's going to come up for us. It's a PDF example. Okay. I accept that. All right. Basically the same information, number of weeks, textbook information. This one has the number of required synchronous meetings. If you're going to ask them to join you online, then they need to know when those will take place and how they will take place. If you have optional synchronous meetings, synchronous means, hopefully everyone knows that, but just to make sure, synchronous means that they're going to be together online, okay, as opposed to asynchronous, they can just come and go. So if you're requiring them to be together online, let them know that. If you have your office hours online at a certain time, then let them know that. If they need to do group work, then you need to let them know, well, you're going to need to do 2 projects, so you need to get together on your time, etc. Let them know that kind of thing. Once again, the exam information. If you are requiring your students to take a proctored exam, then you should let them know where they can take that exam. If you have any of those services on campus, then let them know about that. If they have to find it on their own, sometimes it costs money. This example says $25, but it's gone up from there. And students are very worried because that adds, of course, to the cost of the course anytime they have to take a proctored exam. So let them know about that. I personally don't use proctored exams because my classes are basically projects and portfolios. So I don't use proctored exams, but I am a proctor for other professors. And their technical requirements, you need to let them know what you will expect them to use. And then the amount of time that students will need to spend in the course. This is very important because, our students work and they have children and husbands and all kinds of other activities and parents even that take their time. So they have to be able to know how much time you expect that they should spend on the course. And some things that you may think are very, very easy, when you're doing this online and you're not with them all the time, it may take a little bit longer than you initially expected. So I like this chart. If this is something that's handy, it might be something that you could use. Just put it in the chart, how much time they'll need. Okay. Any questions so far? Just feel free to ask as we're going along.
Now, you gave us 2 examples.
Yes.
Is it just because it was a different style, or were there specific things you liked in both of those?
Okay.
And would those be good patterns for us to use?
Yes, I gave you 2. The question was, I gave 2 examples, and were those because there was something that was specific about each one, or are these patterns that are good and useful patterns? Yes, that's why I put those up there. Those are good patterns. Those are something that you could use for an example of how to prepare your welcome letter. Yes, but there are many others. I didn't choose the bad examples. I just put a couple flip ups for you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to reiterate, information that you should include is your contact information, how the course is organized, recommendations on how to proceed through the course, the hardware and software recommendations, any technical support. And if I were you, I would not offer any yourself, personally. So your college has support, and you should steer your students toward the college support, because even though you may be excellent, you have your own life and other things to do, and so you can't really be technical support for your students, but you can steer them. So they're going to need some links for that. And the recommended browser plugins, also very important, are the disability resources. So you can, once again, steer them to your college resources for that. One of the first things that you might want to do is to have a forum or a discussion forum online for your students for an introduction. And you're going to want to introduce yourself, just tell a little something about yourself. And it's all up to you, whatever you want to share, your dogs, your cats, your photos, whatever you want to share. And then encourage them to do the same. And when they put something up there, you might, again, want to welcome, welcome. I know you're Marlene, so welcome, Marlene, to the class, and it's good to see you here, things like that. You can also use prompts and icebreakers. Again, icebreakers can be found online, and I'll give you some links later. One of the ones that my students like to use is the one where in their introduction, it's called Two Truths and a Lie. And so when they're introducing themselves, they tell two true things about themselves and one thing that's a lie. And then the other students have to guess which thing about that person is a lie. So they enjoy that one. Another thing with the introductions, if you want your students to do something, you're going to need to give them credit, give them points. If you don't give them points and say, oh, this is really fun, they're not going to do it. Okay, so if you really want them to do something, introduce themselves, for example, you should give them credits or points, even if it's extra credit. Otherwise, you won't get anything from them. Yes?
I think it's a good idea to something like post a picture or avatar, something like.
Okay, the question was, do I think it's a good idea to post a picture or have an avatar? I do. I teach face-to-face. And I have the introduction, of course, in the classroom, but also online. And I do ask them to post a picture of themselves. And I tell them it can be a group picture. It can be from 25 years ago, and you can hold your cat if you want to. But you should be included in the picture and say, I'm the third from the left or whatever, so people know who you are. But, yes. And I tell them because Blackboard is a secure environment, then they're safe. A lot of students are afraid to put their picture on the web. Yes, question? Oh, I'll show you all about that. Yes, good question. What is an avatar? That's my avatar there. So include your photo or try an avatar. An avatar is really good for people who don't want to put their face up, but I ask them to put their real face on there at least once online. So if this works, we shall see. This is Voki. It's free, can be used for education. And this is my avatar. So I made it. It's really simple to do. Oh, you can barely hear it. This is as loud as it gets. But at any rate, I'm just welcoming them to my class. I did include my real picture, by the way, but I also use a Voki.
And that's not your voice?
Yes, that's my real voice.
That is your voice.
Yes, that's my voice. Yes.
So on this website, you can actually create your avatar to see your...
On Voki.com, that's where this is. You choose your avatar and you tweak it. You can change your clothes, hair. Ladies sometimes get into that. Anyway, and yes, and then you use your own voice, and you can make a short recording.
How long is the recording?
It's about a minute. It's about a minute long, and yeah. So it's pretty easy, and I'll give you the links to these things that I'm using here. Okay, so you can use them yourself. And students like avatars. I don't know why, but they do. So sometimes my students have made their own avatars, and they include those as well. So I just wanted to give you a couple of examples of the course organization. This is from one of my courses. When I say the organization, I have a banner here, my LT120 reference, and I have a Start Here section, my announcements, course information, syllabus, question and answer. I put the Q&A up there. That's just for the students, basically. If they have questions, a lot of times students have questions that other students can answer because some students have actually read the syllabus and know these things. So when you put up a Q&A, and then there are other students who like to answer everything. You know, they read it all the time, who asked what, and let me put in my comments. This is a little video which I'm not going to show you, but because I hope it doesn't work. No, it won't. Anyway, it's a little video. Again, it's an introduction, but this is my real face. And so I made this short video. This is just using Jing, which is another free resource that you can use. It's about 5 minutes, I believe. And what I did was I did a video, and I walked them through the organization of the course and told them, you know, if you click on this, you'll find this kind of information, and here are your videos, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a good, once again, a good introduction. If you have an orientation face-to-face, some schools really encourage you to have your students come in once at the beginning. Then you won't necessarily need it, but it's good to just have it up there. It only takes a few minutes. Yes. What I used for that was Jing, JING.com, and I'll give you all those resources as well, okay, those links. It's free. I usually don't use things that are not free. It's just easier for me and for the students if I tell them something that I want them to be able to get it or use it themselves. So I use free things for the most part. This is another screenshot. When I set up my course, set it up to announcements, the announcements page should pop up first. And when I did this screenshot, of course you can see it was the end of the semester, and so I said, oh great, so the first thing that popped up is no class. But I have other announcements too, but this was just the one that was available at that time. No class tomorrow. So, but I contact my students once or twice a week, make announcements, because you want to have that, and students want to have that constant contact. So if I have an announcement that either something has come up, in this case we decided not to have a class, everyone voted, there was one person who wasn't there, so I put up the announcement that we wouldn't have class. And you have to remember when you do your announcements to click, there's a little box that you can check that says send this as an email to all your students. So you should click that. You can't necessarily expect that the students will always check. Yes. Question?
Is this what you use on your campus, or anybody can use it?
Okay, this is Blackboard, and I don't know if you have Blackboard or. Okay, so you have a course management system, right? So it has the same features, right?
Okay, that's what yours. Okay.
Yeah. So this is Blackboard, but Moodle, you know, it has the same features.
Google Plus.
Yes.
You know,
the Google Plus.
They were saying how you can use it when you're going online with your students and stuff, but it doesn't really take care of all this.
Oh, okay. Well, Moodle, your course management system at your college, whether you're using Moodle or Blackboard, right, will have these same kind of features.
Okay.
So just remember to send your announcements as an email to your students. So that's, you know, you're trying to get rid of all those excuses, you know. So that's another way to do it. And then another thing that my students really like is I organize it by week. So all the content is under the weeks. Other people may have a link to all the videos, and then a link to all the assignments or homework or all different kinds of things. But I like to do it just by the week. Now, I've also done it by the week and then have another link for videos or something like that. But that's the same thing that they would find in the weekly. It's not additional things. So that they'll have, they can have more than one place to go. The same thing with the homework. I may have the homework all in one place, but it would still be in week 1 or week 2 or whatever.
So do you find that students will go ahead if you give them, you know, everything there?
Okay, okay, that's a good question. Do I find that students will go ahead? No. I'm showing this to you because this is May 16th. So I only open 1 week at a time. And yes. Yeah, so this is May 16th. I don't close them. I leave them open so that they can go back and get the information, but I do just open them 1 week at a time. And I have had students just ask me at the beginning of the class, can I just take your final? But then they're kind of sad because I tell them I don't have a final. So, no. But, no, I don't do that. I just do it 1 week at a time. Okay, and this is another way of organizing very similar, but just a little bit different. And this is from my colleague, Marlene Forney, who's here with us today. And she gave me her screenshot because, of course, I couldn't see it. But this is how she...
They don't allow guest access.
Right, they don't allow guest access, so I couldn't get her screenshot. So she sent these to me. And you see how she has announcements there. And then this screenshot that we have is from her schedule/syllabus. And she has her weekly content, the discussion board. Many people have their discussion board as a separate link. I include mine with my weekly content, but it's fine to have it as a separate link or together, however you want to do it. And the quizzes, the research project, midterm exam. And what I like about hers is this is so happy. Field trips, oh, that looks like fun. And her extra credit, see how sweet she is. And makeup, come on now, quiz makeup. So she's a very, very accommodating instructor. I don't have these little special things. But with the field trips, you can go on field trips. You can do virtual field trips with your students, either as a group, individually, or whatever. So even though you're online, it doesn't mean that you can't have field trips. You can still go ahead and do that. This is an example of inside the week. If you were to click on week 2, this is what you would find inside that. And these are not, these are just screenshots. Again, we've had issues with our internet, so it's a good thing I got these. So I repeat the week, and then what they need to read, and what they need to view, and review the PDF documents, their graded assignments, and tell them how many points and when it's due, and then the links to the actual content that I've put here. And remember, if you're doing this all online, PDF files are a lot better than anything Microsoft or anything like that, because you'll have students using Apple. So just save them as PDF files and put them up for the students. Yes. Question.
Is there a way when you log in where you know who's logged in as well, or is that different?
Not in Blackboard. You don't know who's logged in at that time, but you can search each student and see when they logged in and what they accessed. Right. Yes. So apparently Moodle will, but Blackboard you can search each student and find out what they've accessed. And then at the bottom there's the classification schemes, their test. So everything is right there in the one place. Now videos are a big thing. A lot of online instructors like to use videos. Again, for the announcements, sometimes I use the Voki. Also iJot. And again, I have a handout here which I'll give you with these links in it. But iJot is basically a video of yourself. So you take a video of yourself and you say whatever your announcement is. iJot is really short and it's good for telling people they did a great job. Don't do it for, that was like the most terrible exam I've ever seen. But just happy things. People want happy things, smiling faces. So if you're going to give them some happy news, use iJot. So
just audio.
No, it's audio and video. It's audio and video. And I'm just saying that, who wants to see a sad face again and again and again? No. So just something happy, send to the whole class. I send them iJots for when they do group work to tell the individual groups, what a good job they did. I'm specific about what it is that they did that was really good instead of, everything was great. So they just enjoy that. Also YouTube, you can put something up on YouTube if you like. The video lectures, you can use CCC Confer as we're doing right now. You can tape your lectures ahead of time. Some people do it for the whole semester. Amazing people do that. Others, just a little bit ahead. Camtasia, now that's something you have to pay for unless your campus has something for the whole campus. I think is the site license. I think EVC does. I'm not sure, but and Palomar. Oh, okay. Palomar does not. I don't. Well, they did. They may now. But anyway, you might want to check. but we are able to get it if we request it. And then Jing, as I was mentioning, free, and you can make a video on Jing. You do need to remember to include a transcript for that. Oh, don't worry, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll give you the handout. Okay, so you should include a transcript. Now, if this plays, I know your question that you're going to ask me, so this is just a couple minutes.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mr. P. Sometimes known as Mr. P. Anyway, this message is to remind you that plagiarism is not only wrong, but illegal. I thought I could send you an email on the subject so I could sing this song. I hope you like it. Are you cheating? Is it really your way? Do you think I don't know what you've done? If you ask a good friend to do your work, so then you risk a school and go have some fun. Did you download your essay from Rubrics.com? Are you hoping I won't call your dad or your mom? Is your head filled with shame because she's sorry? Oh, my dear, did you plagiarize it?
He's not done now.
You know, someone once said that the only person that's hurt when you cheat is yourself. It's your future, and only you can decide to do that thing. I was reading your paper so carefully that I never missed a key. And then suddenly I realized.
Is it a movie?
This paper.
I can't wait to look at it.
Well,
Okay, because people online are asking for it. Oh, okay. It's on YouTube, though. Oh,
well, my friends, you're right.
there's a YouTube video.
And
It's not playing well.
I have no real policies out here. And I don't want to go on reading your lives.
Okay.
And I want to be grateful to this man, and I'm just standing there with emptiness all around. But we don't start doing your own work now. Your grades are just keep going down. Is your head full of shame? Because cheating's so lame. Oh yeah, did you plagiarize it? There's a better way, man. There's a better way.
Oh, dear. Okay, so I know what you're going to ask me. Where's the transcript, right? No, what's the link? What's the link?
I got it.
Okay, did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So we probably all don't sound like Elvis, but that is one that I've used because plagiarism, of course, we can probably all use that one. But it's just the idea of putting things up on YouTube, and students enjoy it. So just wanted to share that one with you. Okay. So I just want to reiterate that your campus support is going to be very, very helpful for you. This is Palomar College, and again, I would pull them up, except they're not live now. But so when they are live, however, they are a great support, and you see that we could email them, which of course we can't now, but we could give them a call, and they are helpful for not only instructors but also students. So I tell my students to call them and to use them, and they do respond quickly. Yes, I would say for the most part. If they're listening, I'm in trouble. Anyway, also I wanted to share with you, these are Blackboard videos. So probably if you're using Moodle, whatever course management system you're using on your campus, they probably have many, many videos that you can use available free, 24/7.
Yeah,
so
YouTube has a lot of stuff too.
Yes, YouTube does have a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of videos out there that are very helpful, very clear, very supportive. Palomar had gone through a process, so they made an online teaching document for, I think they call it validation. I'll pull it up. Let me see if I can. Oh no, this is
that's validation.
Right, something that's available on the web.
Oh,
and
yes. You had a question.
A question?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Okay, yes.
You mentioned YouTube, and when I go on YouTube, I mean, there's so much stuff. I mean, how do you get what you want? I mean, the search
there
overwhelming.
There is a lot of stuff on YouTube. That's true. So you could.
I had heard that they were going to now start categorizing, like if you're going to go under education. I don't know if they've done that or not.
Well, if you use Google, you can limit it site.edu, pull up a topic, and then pull up videos. When you have the Google search, okay, then you can. Oh, it can't locate the server. Okay. Oh, that's right. They're down. What am I thinking? Hello. Okay. So yes, you can do site:edu, and then put your search term when you search, and then just click on videos. Or you can go to YouTube and put in whatever it is and put in education or edu to try to limit the search for the videos. So there is a lot of junk out there. However, there's a lot of good stuff. I don't know what you have access to, but at Palomar we have things like in telecom, we have films on demand, we have there's lots of other streaming video, NBC Learn. So there's lots of videos that you can use.
Yeah. YouTube is and telecom is here as a sponsor.
Yes, and telecom is here.
Right next to the registration desk.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yes, and telecom is right here, and I was happy to see them. Yes, they have a little brochure and everything. So. Right, go check that out. Again, that's something that your college has to pay for, but just go on probably it's your library site and look and see what kinds of databases are available to you. They may have the streaming video there, and if not, you can always call a librarian, right? You can always call a librarian and find out.
Like your friendly librarian here.
Yes, that's right. So here are some of the resources that I use to prepare this presentation, and the last one here is from our very old Yong Zhao, and you heard from him this morning. He was the keynote speaker. This is he's written hundreds of articles. This is an older one, but still the information is still valid for today. So once again, I suggest that you do some research and ask your friends and colleagues if you know someone who's teaching an online class, maybe someone you admire, if you could see what they do or give you some suggestions. You should ask for feedback from students. If you're teaching now, even if you're teaching face-to-face, find out from your students what they really like about your classes, and they can give you some suggestions. I've heard many. Some I take and some I don't, but it's good to find out what they like. Yes?
So you're going in and you're going to teach for the first time online class.
Yes.
You showed us everything, basically the syllabus. But, okay, so I'm thinking in my head, if I wanted to change it.
If you want to change your syllabus, or?
I wanted to do at least have some flexibility, something on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to post it just like the way that I would if I'm teaching it live, right? I'm supposed to be teaching that. This could be subject to change.
Oh, right. You always put this could be subject to change. Absolutely.
Because otherwise, what I'm thinking in my head is
Yeah.
that you're basically getting everything done way in advance before you actually teach it. Everything's done. Right?
Well,
you have your syllabus.
yes, you have your syllabus. Yes.
Everything's done.
Right.
And so it's kind of like concrete. Unless you put something in there saying that this would be.
Yes, on the syllabus, I always put that. I thought everyone did. Subject to change, because you have to change. You have to be able to change. You have to be able to react to your students. If there's issues, something maybe they're not getting, it's going to take them another week to get it. For some reason you fall behind. So you always have to put that disclaimer up there. You know, it's subject to change, right? But as far as changing your syllabus because you're going online, you don't necessarily have to do that. You may want to. That's why I said you might want to ask your students what do they really enjoy about your class or what's very effective, maybe what's least effective. I give my students an evaluation at the end of the course every time I teach courses. I give them an evaluation. It's informal, but I just want to get feedback from them. As I say, a lot of it I take, some of it I don't. I had one student, I asked what's the most valuable thing you've taken from my class and what's the least valuable, and under least valuable, she said everything you've taught.
Oh.
So that one I just kind of ignored as an outlier, okay, so anyway, but you'll get those. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, so for there is a tab for the discussion board, like what type of, how do you set that up to the discussion board? Is it like a thread of conversation? That's how that's live, where we know everything's online.
Okay, for the
chat, or is it just like a discussion, like whoever comes up?
Okay, the discussion board is asynchronous, so it's not live, so that people just respond to a prompt that you may put up. But you can have live chats, of course, and you can, depending on your course management system at your college, they do have rooms that you can use. You can use CCC Confer to have those live conversations. So you can use both or, one or the other. The asynchronous, since it's online, sometimes it's hard for people to get together. If you tell them we have to be together at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening, sometimes that's really difficult. So to give them an option, it's good to try to use both if you can, so that they have both those chances. Yes. Question?
One time I took online classes, what they did, they had for 1 week, they would open it up for 4 days and say, here's the prompt or whatever it is they want to within those 4 days, respond.
Yes.
So if you don't respond, then it looks like you're not there. You're not participating in the class session.
Right. So, the question was, well, it was really a comment that sometimes people have the discussion board open for a certain amount of time, several days, to get the work done, to participate in that discussion, and then you're considered there. So that's another good way to do it. Yeah, it closes, right. Now, yes, did you have a question? No. Okay. Another thing that I like to do when I'm teaching online, again, everybody does things differently. I'm not saying that my way is the right way or the only way. But one thing I like to do is if I have regular assignments, I want them on a certain day. I don't want, let's see, the assignment for this week is due on Sunday and the assignment for next week is due on Wednesday afternoon. And, I just want it the same. That way students don't worry. I took a class one time, every single assignment was due at a different day, a different time. It was just, for me as a student, a nightmare. I just want one day, one time. So I always choose Thursday night, 11 o'clock. And the reason I choose Thursday is because our support, even though they're supposed to be there, they're not there 24/7 as far as live. And so I want to give them that last day, that Friday, so that they can get support if they need it. So I like to just choose one day. Some people like to choose the weekend, which is okay. But if your students have a Saturday or a Sunday deadline and they have no support, then that can be a real problem for them, and then in the end for you.
A question from Steve online.
Yes.
Any suggestions for getting students to post profiles? Students seem to want to remain anonymous.
Well, yes, they can. When you give them a prompt to post their profile, you can suggest that they use an avatar if they'd like to. It's good if they let people know who they are. Sometimes If they post an avatar or use an avatar, that makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. Other people in the class may feel uncomfortable with all these anonymous people that they don't know, because what you're trying to do online is build a community, which is, if you're all together in a classroom, you at least have an opportunity to build a community. It's much more difficult online. So yes, if they can kind of use an avatar, something else that makes them feel more comfortable, but still tell something about themselves. Even if it's a lie, have at least two truths about themselves so people can kind of get to know them. What I use with those introductions is not just, this is Sally and this is Joe and, this is Charlie and this is Susie, but actually something about their background, so that when I give them group assignments, it's interesting and I think educational for the students to learn to see different viewpoints, to understand that we're not all the same. We have different backgrounds. We come from different places, and that's one way to do it. So then when you see a post from Julio or something, and Julio's always very interested in a particular topic, you get to know that person by their writing and by your interaction. So it's important not to be anonymous. Who is that? I don't know. Who wants to be anonymous? I don't know. It's not helpful for the other students in the class. So that's my suggestion. Another suggestion, this is not for that particular thing, but as far as students are concerned, when you give them assignments online, they really, really, really would appreciate a rubric. They want to know how you grade. They want a rubric for everything. I even give them a rubric for their introduction. I tell them how many sentences they have to have, and I tell them that they have to include certain things about themselves. And so for everything, they would like a rubric, because if you give them a grade, they want to know, how did I get that grade? Did you just, kind of throw things on the stairs and the people who landed on the top got the A's, or, what happened with that? So rubrics are very helpful for them. And if you want to share your online course, you can use CourseSites.com. Again, it's free. It's by Blackboard, and you can build your course there. So I believe I have a link to that in here as well. So let's say you want to build at least 1 week and you want to share it with someone, then you can build the course in CourseSites.com, and you can share it with your colleagues and just invite them to look at it and make suggestions. Or you can invite students if you'd like, whomever, just to take a look at it and get some ideas about any kind of improvement.
Any questions? Is there any option for saving it and exporting it so you can use it in another
Course Sites, I believe you can export it to Blackboard because it is Blackboard, but I don't think it exports to any others. Yes, but if you only build a week, it's not that bad. It doesn't take that long. So let's see if I can have any other notes here that I haven't forgotten for you. Let's see here. For your videos, let's see. There was a question about the videos. I'm going to look and see if I have anything else. Films on demand. At your college, many times they have a service for streaming video. So if you find a video in the library, a DVD, something like that you want to use in your class, just ask them if they can digitize that and make that into a streaming video for you. Palomar does that. You do have to give them some time, and if we were live, I could show you, but I can't, so sorry about that. But they can digitize it for you and then make it streaming and make it available. At Palomar, the only thing that you have, there is an agreement, of course, that you're just going to use it for educational purposes. And then the other thing is that other professors could use it as well. Those are 2 agreements that you have to make. But that way, it's up there. And so if you teach the course again, your videos, you can build, basically the library of the videos that you need, and you can build those yourself. So again, give them some time. Depending on your college, it may take them from 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on how popular that is at your college. But that's something else that you can do. Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions there?
No, we're
good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. And I do want to remind you to fill out the Online Teaching Conference evaluation form. It's online and it's a mobile app, I believe as well, right? Yeah, okay. And I'm going to tell you, like they say in the grocery stores and other places where you have to sit in the restaurant, if I don't get the top, then that means I failed. No, you can tell the real story. It doesn't matter. Okay, thank you for your attention. I appreciate it.
Are you going to give us access to the website?
I'm going to give you all of this. I printed them for you.
Thank you.
I just took out the three things because good, I didn't. Good, I did everything else. They don't have any money. That's right. They don't have money. They're good.
Yeah. Can we get both your PowerPoint and the handout as electronic files to go on the portal?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. When you don't give a final.
No, I don't give a final.
What do you give a final?
Most of usually I don't do the final. Sometimes I do. Usually, my courses are project-based, so they have to build projects, and they do projects, and they put them together in a portfolio, and then they have to make a narrative about each project, what they did, how they did it, why they did it, what was good. So basically, I have them build an e-portfolio that they could then use. I teach library and information technology, so that when they go and get a job and they say, I can do these things, they can more than say it, they can show it as well. Okay.
Because I was looking here, the next one is to Proctor or not to Proctor, and I'm thinking, great, we have you. But you're not doing any kind of like final.
Yeah, I do some tests online.